Hi guys and welcome to the Camera Podcast. My name is Ian Atuni
My name is Andre Sahi.
and welcome to the Camera Pod episode 6. Today we have a special guest. His name is
James.
and me and James met in sixth form and we're in the same class actually as Amy, who came on the pod quite recently as well. And yeah, man, thank you so much for coming.
Thanks for having me, guys.
And then we just get started.
Yeah.
Like how we all started, everything from the beginning. What even? Let's start with how we first met each other and stuff.
Yeah. I mean, it was sixth form, wasn't it? Yeah, I went to Becker Keys, which is just a school sort of
Nearby.
Yeah, Brentwood, where I did my GCSEs. But yeah, I mean, to be fair, I moved to St Martin's because I mean my school was good. It was decent. It was just the drama department. I think the year before they had to scrap the drama program at A level because they didn't have enough people because it just wasn't. It was a much more.
Wow. Wow. I said just scrap like that.
Yeah, just completely. Yeah, five people. So they were like, well, we need more than that. So I think the year that I then eventually left, they went, oh yeah, we've got enough people now. So it's like, oh, and it was a bit awkward because they phoned me and said, oh yeah, we were going to make you the ambassador for drama and all this sort of stuff. And I went, oh, okay. But my sister had gone to St Martin's. She was 3 years older, so she was sort of 3 years above me. And she'd had a really good experience with the drama department. And obviously I'd gone and seen all the St Martin shows and thought that I feel like, you know, I think I'd already kind of worked out that that's the route I wanted to focus on. So I spoke to my parents and they said, yeah, we agree. So I ended up at St Martin's.
And then I didn't know he did drama until Amy mentioned it.
Yeah.
Because
was you one in the same tutor then?
Same tutor class.
Same tutor class.
Yeah. So like beginning of the day, we'd always have to go to tutor class, or sort of like the person check in and be like, oh yeah, this is what's going on in the school, and because we were all in like different classes for different subjects. So I was
we never shared a single subject as well. So
no, you didn't do drama, did you?
No.
Fair
No,
enough.
that's what I always say. Like
You
never done drama in
But
school.
there's so many, to be fair, actors out there who
Yeah.
like barely touch. Like some people like who made it didn't even go to drama school and stuff.
Yeah, that's true.
We went.
When I was in college, I just done media. I didn't even do drama.
Yeah.
Because I was already going to drama school at the
We
same
were
time.
doing the same drama school outside of school kind of thing.
Yeah.
And when we picked the options for 6 and 1 GCSE time, I'd taken a break from acting completely during that period.
Yeah. Because I remember you saying, I do acting. I do like my adverts and stuff. I went, oh yeah, you don't do A-level drama. I mean, to be fair, you probably spared yourself because the coursework.
Oh yeah, because
I told him.
Have you tried writing an acting essay?
But me and him done drama for GCSEs.
Yeah.
It's more than you do more than writing than acting.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Yeah, even on my degree, there's still an element of written.
Really?
I mean, we used to go from writing because I did history. We were doing S last.
So to you can kind of adapt to it.
Yeah, I was like doing 1,500 words essays like every week, and now they'll ask for one, and my entire cohort, we all just start stressing out. We're like, oh, how do we write, an essay? And so much of writing those essays now comes from like what you know, all of like reading all these acting books and stuff, and but also you're trying to balance uni life.
Talk about a bit about that as well, because my experience with that at the start, I'd say it's a bit challenging. Because there was a brief period in 2022. There were so many auditions for young black male characters, and I just started uni, so I was adapting. I wasn't really focused.
What did you do at uni?
International business.
Right. Yeah, I remember you.
So it's got nothing to do with acting as well, kind of thing.
What pushed you back towards focusing on it again?
Actually, it was because I changed agency.
Right.
So it was a brand new agency that I was with at the time, and I booked my first job towards the end of that year, so the beginning of second year.
Right.
Yeah. So then that's when I was like, I did that job, and I was like, I know what I need to.
Did you ever have was that so when you were doing business? Is that because had you ever had that moment where you're like, oh, I don't think I can do this for a career? Or
you know what it is? It's not like I didn't know if I could do this for a career because I was doing it before as a child.
Right.
It was more in a sense like my dad was basically like, nothing's happening right now. Your GCSEs
just
are
like
coming up. A backup kind of thing. You're stressed. I don't believe in backup plans, but obviously as a child, you can't really do much.
No, you sort of. My parents were the same. They were like, we know you want to do this, but we want you to still have GCSEs and A-levels. I mean, obviously, it comes down to the specific person. I know loads of people who chose to go to sort of performing arts colleges, but to be honest, that also comes with its advantages because you're just that sort of more experienced step ahead for auditions and sort of dealing with that environment. Because I remember auditioning was terrifying for drama school.
Yeah.
I remember so I did a foundation.
Yeah, right.
So after sixth form, obviously COVID happened.
Yeah.
A levels cancelled. So at home.
Yeah, we did do A-levels.
Yeah. I say that now.
A-levels?
I personally am glad it was A-levels and not GCSEs.
Oh, yeah.
GCSEs I got by okay, but A-levels history I was like, oh, there's no way I'm passing this. There's no way.
So you guys just basically got like a free pass, basically.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, because basically they base it off your mocks and then the teachers know your history.
We were doing our final. Yeah, my final time at St Martin's was doing my final sort of practical exams for drama. We did our, we did a play which was split into sort of 3 parts. Did it in groups. I think Amy will remember that. Yeah, that was quite an iconic. You know, the plays West and East. I did one from that. I had to have a fight with myself on stage. You know, and I mean, I'm quite lucky that I've not been in a physical fight before. So that was trying to. You know, and there wasn't someone else to play off. I had to do it by literally physically having a fight, like with anything. I did really well though.
That's really hard to do as well.
I remember, and lines wise, like my brain couldn't keep up with my body in terms of. So it wasn't until, and I was so stressed because it wasn't until I did it that the lines somehow came, and I didn't blank. I think I had Lewis sat at the front, and I said to him, I'm not going to look at you this entire performance, but if I look at you, it means I need a line, so it's as quick as possible for me to get back into it. So yeah, I just one line, looked at him, he said one word, and I was straight back in. But yeah, no, I did that, and then I came home, and old Bojo said, "Yeah, you must stay at home. You can't go out." I was like, "Great, this is fun." And my mum's she's got quite severe asthma. So I technically also did it in COVID because I did a foundation at East 15 during sort of that tail end of 2020, 2021, where we kept going back and forth between the rules of being kind of relaxed and then not.
Yeah.
I had to do all my classes with a mask on.
What?
Yeah, and we were in 3 groups. It was like a cohort of about 30, 40 people.
Yeah.
But you weren't allowed to I think I only knew a third of the entire cohort. Because obviously now I know everyone on my course at uni, but back then I only socially could only see the people I was in my group with. And it was pretty
because you wouldn't even you'd realise, be like, I've never seen you before.
Yeah, or even it'd be really awkward because they sort of say hi because we know each other, but you'd be like,
do I know you?
I haven't actually spoken to you before. And then even living as well, it was all like security patrolling.
Yeah,
it was like prison at one point.
I was at one point because people were throwing motives just randomly during first year, and it got to the point where they started sending security to in cars. They had their own cars, Andre. What? Their own vans, security vans, and just drive
on campus,
securing campus.
Yeah, it was lockdown. We weren't allowed to go back. I think it was January 21. They announced you're not allowed to do.
They had another lockdown.
Yeah, they had a lockdown, so we couldn't go into the space. So we had to do Shakespeare on Zoom. So we did. And my lecturer went, not to name names. My lecturer went, yeah, we're gonna do Henry VI Part 3, which is Shakespeare's most battle-heavy play. We were gonna do it on Zoom. We were looking at each other like,
how are we going to express it?
How are we going to do this on Zoom?
Just doing it in person alone is already
exactly. Yeah, genuinely. We did, so I choreographed one of them, but I suggested, why don't we use, make it modern and use guns? Because we can point a gun at the screen and someone react and go, oh, sure. But, it was an interesting experience trying to do, because also you don't know what because so much of performing, especially live theatre, sometimes you get so much off the audience. So doing that to a laptop screen in my bedroom, I mean, my friend broke her toe doing it as well because we had to do battle scenes. And obviously that some of the people were living together, so they could actually do physical fights because they were living together. And one friend, she got grabbed, pushed him off, and then as she ran out of her room, slammed her foot into the sort of side of the door. It was just and then final term, the final show got cancelled. We were literally in the final week about to take it to theatre, and then one of my person who was on my course, his girlfriend had someone in her flat get COVID, so she had to go into lockdown, which then meant he had to go into lockdown because he lived with her, and then that passed into all of us, and then I got an alert. I'd been in Costa, you know, and you remember that app?
Yeah.
It used to be like, you've been in like a space where there was someone with COVID. Yeah. I got it for Costa, and I got to Costa Coffee, picked up a coffee, and then basically said, oh yeah, you got to isolate for a week, and then mine got extended to 3 weeks because someone else in my flat came down with it. So I did 3 weeks stuck in a room in June, and it was a hot summer that year. I watched all the Nightmare on Elm Street films.
Wow.
I watched Get Out for the first time.
That's the time when I watched Get Out for the first time. During COVID. Because that's when I stopped first.
I went through a massive horror phase because I used to be really couldn't get through. I was quite squeamish, feeling like blood and stuff. But I've really got into horror recently, and I think Get Out is probably one of the best.
Yeah, I remember I watched it when it came out. I remember it was sick.
Speaking of like reading and stuff, like was there like any actors or actresses that like kind of piqued your interest in you? That one
recently, Cillian Murphy, I think. Yeah. I mean, I hadn't seen. He was one of those actors who I always knew of, and I saw him in the movies.
But he just never had.
I mean, obviously he's in Peaky Blinders, and obviously my parents were watching it, and I only started to get interested in watching it once it sort of got towards the end, and I went, I don't want to sit and rewatch and catch up and watch this under pressure, so I'll wait. And then I saw the trailer for Oppenheimer and was like, oh, this is going to be something special. And I was like, right, I want to watch this guy.
Did you watch Oppenheimer?
Yeah, sorry, 4 times.
4 times?
4 times.
What?
Genuinely. I look back now and I go, what?
We watched it and I was thinking, I can't watch that again.
Did you do Barbenheimer?
I didn't.
I did it. I saw Oppenheimer with, Tom Himmler?
Yeah.
I saw it with
Tom. Really?
Saw it with Tom, because he's a massive Nolan fan. I watched that with him.
Oh, yeah, he is, isn't he?
Yeah, I watched it, got up at 11, went to see it at Basildon, then came back. I should have done it the other way round.
Wait, you watched
I watched Barbie straight after, and I remember sitting there. We watched it just over there at Odeon, and I literally, with my sister's watching Barbie and is absolutely lapping it up, and I'm just sat there like, oh, I'm still processing Oppenheimer. I think someone said on the internet it was like watching, you watch Oppenheimer first and then you watch Barbie, it's like clowns at a funeral. Like you watch the ending of Oppenheimer and it's like, yeah, might inevitably be nuclear war one day, and you're like, oh, okay, and then you just sat there like processing it still. Like I couldn't move after Oppenheimer. The first time I watched it, I was like, oh my god, what an experience. Cillian Murphy is probably the actor that I really like at the minute in terms of actors. I also really liked like Benedict Cumberbatch as well.
What did I say?
I mean, I love actors that can just do anything. Like obviously there's certain, it's each to their own. Like I'm not someone who likes to judge other actors, because if someone can take something, like whether it's being a versatile actor, or you've got actors like Dwayne Johnson who just sort of play themselves, or Ryan Reynolds who play themselves, but if they can make the dollar out of it, like fair enough. Like then Ryan Reynolds is just playing himself as Deadpool. Like it's perfect. But for me as an actor, I try to kind of be able to do versatile, try and be able to do everything. And I think in my training, I've been given those opportunities to really push myself and try and be like, right, okay. I did one very serious, but like scene. We just did scenes at first, and then by the end of first year playing, they were like, right, we want you to do this because it's funny. Because I know you can do serious, so I want you to do funny now.
That's kind of what I want to kind of aspire to do in the future. Being able to do serious, happy, sad.
I have my dream roles, but also I'm just excited because there's so much out there that's just not there yet. Like there wasn't Sex Education 5 years ago, and now look, like that's one of the biggest.
We were literally talking about it in sixth form when it first came out.
Yeah, because everyone said, "Oh, you're really like Otis, aren't you?"
Yeah.
And I went, "Thanks." I hadn't watched it yet, and then I watched it and went, "Okay, I'm gonna take slight offence to that." But
do you think you could play like a character like Otis?
Yeah, probably. But I'd also hopefully would give also as a challenge, because I know so much of this as well is your casting type, because obviously your spotlight, what they see you as, you are going to get cast a type until you're successful enough to go, well, hang on, I can do this as well. But yeah, no, I think I could probably, I don't class myself as someone as a comedian. I don't say, but I've done quite a few comedies, and I feel like I'm not awful. at being able to sort of
No, it's okay to say that.
Get people to laugh. I did. So when I had my year off, I was working at a pub down the road, which I still work at just to sort of keep the money in. It's a good place to work. I did a comedy musical just up the road, just Amgram, just to keep me sort of in the acting mind when I was pretty much not doing much of it. When I was the lead, and that was a musical farce where it was very complicated plot, like mistaken identity, all that sort of stuff. But I had to play an assistant who has to take care of this big opera singer who's coming into town to perform, and through a series of events thinks he's killed himself, and then have to pretend to be him, which was an interesting show, but it was really fun. But the improv from that, like, I'm someone who used to be terrified of improvisation.
So I love it.
I'm not awful when you put me on stage and I'm in the moment and I'm like, I've got no time to think. I had my co-star who was my manager, who was in it as well, a lot as the manager. He was so good as the character, but bless him, he couldn't remember any of his lines. And there was one night, the show never went right, which was probably the best thing about it, because it was a comedy, it was a farce, and the audience lapped it up. There was a bit where, as I said, it's a really complicated plot, so I don't want to bore you trying to explain it. Basically, we've got to cover up what we've done, and to cover up the fact that we've impersonated this opera singer. We've got the opera diva in the bathroom. We have my girlfriend who's trying to have an affair with the opera singer but doesn't know that it's me.
So you're the opera singer?
So yeah, I have a girlfriend who's told me she wants to fling with the big opera singer who's coming in. Before she gets married, she wants to sleep with someone, basically. Yeah. And I go, okay, that's a bit shitty, but okay, whatever. But then the opera singer's, perceived to be dead. So I've dressed up as the opera singer, and now she's come on to me thinking I'm the opera singer. So she's hiding in the bathroom. The opera diva wants a chance at it as well. And all my co-star had to say was, don't get changed in the bathroom, because there's someone in there. But he just goes silent, and I go, okay, if I give him his line as a question, it will cue him in. I went, shall I go get changed in the bathroom? And he went, yeah. My face went, his wife, who's the director, she was sat at the top, Bremer Theatre. Have you been in Bremer Theatre? Yeah, Bremer Theatre right at the top, just sat there like, the show stopped, everyone backstage is going, and I had to go, play it off to the audience, and I went, are you sure? And he went, I don't know. And I just went, so why you made it into this whole scene? Like, if there was the super fan of this play reading the script, they would have gone, there's about 3 pages of dialogue that doesn't exist here, because I had to make it up on the spot. But it was weirdly my favourite memory of the entire show was that bit going on, because I was so proud of myself for keeping it going, improvisation-wise. And I had to keep it going. I think at one point he threw me off. Like, there was a bit where, he's trying to get the body to move, and I get on top of him, and it was quite sexually, it had a lot of sexual innuendos in it. And he basically threw me off the bed. I was standing fully on the bed, and he threw me off. And I was only supposed to fall back, but I fully fell head first off the bed onto the stage and stuff. But, I just love being able to just in the moment just see whatever comes out with, because that's the thing, the audience aren't going to know. A guy called Sai, really, I learned so much off him. He was such a good, he came in, he didn't just teach us how to do this Shakespeare play, he also gave us so much advice about the industry, because he was doing stuff at the RSC back in 2002, which is the year I was born. He's done so much, and he started off in radio, and he sort of said, by the way guys, I started off in radio, I didn't, I was an actor, but I wasn't, but he said if he came up with this principle, which really helped, to be fair, to put it into perspective about what I want to do, because I think a lot of us as actors know there's so many avenues to get into this world that you get so bogged down trying to do all of them that you kind of do them very generalised, and then you're not focused. But he sort of said, he's got his 3 principles. He said, if you do one thing in front of someone who's an agent or a casting director, and you do it very well, you're more likely to get the job. So, for example, he broke it down. He went, right, you can do Shakespeare, you can do TV, you can do film, you can do music theatre, you can do all this sort of stuff. Instead of trying to do all of them, focus on that one. If it's you've got all of them, and each one is a door. Instead of trying to open all of them, focus on opening one, and then you're in the room anyway, and then you can just sort of branch out. So we did it through radio. But my sister's an actor as well, and she's been really trying. And I put him in contact with her as well, because he said, because he's also got a podcast for, like, he's specifically got, like...
really?
Yeah, he's got a podcast, I can't remember what it's called, I need to look it up. But he's got a podcast specifically for helping actors who aren't getting work. What can I do to get them? I'll probably find it and then give it to you guys.
We'll put it in the description below.
Yeah, it's Sidetrender. Check him out. But yeah, he taught us how to do this play, as well as to do this sort of how to potentially do this as a profession. And he gave us so much tips. Like, we did a script. He took a script and he went, try and find the impulse to speak. Because I think the problem, I mean, this is the thing as an actor that I sometimes struggle is how do you deliver the same line every night as if it's a thought that you've just said, like this conversation now, like how do we make this look like this is a off the cuff conversation and not something we've rehearsed for 6 weeks in a rehearsal space.
It is, guys.
Yeah, this is all rehearsed. All rehearsed. And he sort of said it's finding, certain times when it's just finding a word. He called it Mary Poppins bag. He sort of got us in a circle and he went, right, I want you to say a Shakespeare line, or say a line that we've got to say in this play, and I want you to open Mary Poppins bag, and I want you to find the word. So it'd be like, for a muse of fire, like sort of find that, so it feels like these are real human people. Because I think if you convince the audience that you're this person, you've got them in your hand. And it's like, when you have that moment, like I've only had it a few times, but it was really satisfying. Especially when you're playing a really like difficult character.
Because that's what I was going to say as well. On top of what you said and what you were saying before with improvisation, I feel like once you're able to do a scene like that, especially your moment just then, kind of tells you, this is...
I mean, sometimes it comes from just knowing the play very well. We did
as well.
So obviously in drama school, you sort of how we've done it is that they started us off by just giving us scenes. So we did a scene from a contemporary play called The Wall. And then after Christmas, first year, they went, right, we're now going to do American classics, which emotional toil of some of these plays in terms of how heavy. I did Streetcar. Okay. Which we did it.
You did?
A-level? Did you do A-level?
Yeah,
English?
I did A-level English. We weren't in the same class.
We weren't in the same class, no, but we did, I got given a scene from Streetcar, which for everyone else who had no idea, some of them, what these plays were, I got given a Streetcar named Zai, we'd done an A-level. So I walked in going, well, I already know this play, I know that, like, I think my lecturer at the time was somehow really shocked that in about a minute and a half, I can't do it now, I haven't looked at it, but because I'd read it again, I could basically recite what happens in each scene very quickly within like a minute. Because we had to do these presentations to everyone else, so that when they watched us rehearse it, they knew what was going on, so they could still learn even if they weren't like actively rehearsing in the room. But I was given Streetcar and stuff. But we were doing scenes, and that was the term they were really trying to get us to work on, naturalism, and they kind of broached method acting, which I'm gonna be real, I didn't use, because playing Stanley, like the wife beater beats like his wife up, drinks a lot. I don't think I can, because that probably would get me arrested if I started acting like him outside the room. So I focused more on the other side, which is more about imagination, because for me as an actor, I find method acting can be helpful.
That's fine, going to go into that.
But I'm like certain characters, I think it really
we both agreed that I feel like there is a stage where for specific type of characters you have to.
I think because I had the challenge of, thankfully I'm, well respected, well liked, and not perceived to be this, misogynistic wife beater. But that was the biggest challenge. That's probably the most challenging role I've done. It was just one scene, which was how do I convince everyone who's known me for about 2 months now, I'm not this big hunk of a guy. I'm quite skinny. I wouldn't say I'm much anymore, but I'm someone who doesn't like to be overtly noticed. I like to sort of stay in the back of the room until I find a reason to be noticed. I find myself, I have more confidence on stage to be seen as in person. Like I try to draw as little attention to myself as possible. But how do I somehow do a complete transformation and somehow convince everyone that I'm this intimidating, aggressive brute of a guy? and I knew I couldn't do it through through well, I could have done that, but for one scene it would have been, you know, if it was an actual, you know, production or it was an actual movie, yeah, hell, I would have bulked up, I would have done it. You know, I'm not someone who does, you know, loads of exercise, but you know, I try and do my best. But I was like, right, so how am I going to do this? So we then started looking at Stella Adler, and she's much more imagination, like, you know, because as an actor you've got to take care of yourself mentally. Like, I think that's my problem with method acting is, well, if you push yourself so far into becoming this character, how do you then move on and let it go?
Yeah.
And I remember, like, I'm not going to, you know, go into the personal details of certain things, but, you know, like, I remember, you know, the mental toll on that term. Like, it was an intake joke that our lecturer was teaching us method acting, and, like, basic, not teaching it, but sort of broaching it, and teaching us, like, sort of what Adler's approach was, what was it Strasbourg, who were both influenced by Stanislavski, I believe.
I think we learned about that.
You know, like Marlon Brando, who's famous for playing Stanley, very much studied under these with these people. So yeah, I just tried to go, right, how am I going to do this? So she uses more imagination, and that worked for me because I went, right. There was a Meryl Streep quote that our voice teacher gave us, which was, sometimes acting isn't trying to find the difference, it's the similarity. And if you open the door of that one similarity. So, like, for example, I think all of us can probably relate to, if you're in your house and a friend or someone comes into your house and starts telling you what to do, you're not going to be overtly happy about it. And I went, well, yeah, I'd be annoyed by that. Would I beat someone up for doing it? No, that's where the acting comes in. But I went, right, well, this guy's a villain. I've got to make him somehow in the right. Because if I'm going to play this convincingly, I've got to somehow play it like, no, I'm justified in my behaviour here. And obviously, you know, the time period where it's set, you know, patriarchy was pretty much 101, you know, ruling sort of with relationships back then. So, you know, and I did it, but we rehearsed it ourselves with two really incredible actresses who are really great on the course. Like, they're so good and they're so brilliant to work with. Took a lot of, like, checking in, because obviously, you know, we weren't allowed a set. We had 4 chairs, which made it even more about the acting, because I had no distractions of, right, I need to get this cake.
What, just 4 chairs?
4 chairs. And I had to...
Isn't there...
There's
a name for that?
Yeah.
I can't remember.
It's like, well, it was a very Brecht, considering we were doing a naturalistic project, it was a very Brechtian take, because I walked in and I could see the visual layout of the room and what it would kind of look like. But all we had was a screen for the bathroom and 4 chairs for the scene, which was, I don't know if you remember Street Guys, the scene where
I remember.
they have Blanche's birthday dinner.
Okay.
And he gets the ticket, and, you know, goes to give it to Blanche to say you need to leave and stuff. But it was a pretty intense scene. But we did it. Our lecturer was heavily pregnant as well, and Stella was heavily pregnant, the character. So she was helping who was playing Stella, my wife, like, with the baby bump. She had a full-on baby bump. Had to walk to class with it on sometimes. But yeah, no, like, we rehearsed it, and we rehearsed it to the point where we could just improv bits on the spot. Like, we were saying, like, because obviously you sort of try and have an inner monologue going, and, like, we had entire moments that just were completely improvised. Like, the bit where I went to give Blanche the ticket, my director went, you need to, like, humiliate Stella. Like, you need to get her, like, you need to humiliate her, basically. So, considering she's heavily pregnant in the play, I basically played, I have a ticket. If I went, oh yeah, right, here's the ticket, she's heavily pregnant, come get it. And she'd come and, like, chase me around the thing, but she's, like, heavily pregnant and stuff. Like, really just sort of, which only added to it, because then everyone was watching me make this heavily pregnant woman chase after a ticket, heavily distressed because I'm basically, like, getting her sister, basically tormenting her to throw her sister out. I, like, grabbed her, put her on the chair, and made her look at her sister as I gave her the ticket, making it look like it was her who was telling her to leave. You know, just stuff like that, where you can take a scene and, you know, because, you know, sometimes you'll also be doing stuff that's been done hundreds and hundreds of times, and finding the ability to just make it your own, you know. And it was a lot. Like, I remember we performed it, and after we did the scene, like, I, like, pretty much, like, walked my co-star off, and like sort of basically fell on the floor, absolutely exhausted from the sort of emotional demand it took. Because it's not me, like, you know, obviously not just because he's an awful, horrible person, but it's not me. It's not, you know, it took a lot because I'm not someone who I would argue is very physically intimidating. But I remember at one point in the scene, I had to go and have a fake phone call, but we didn't have any props, so I just had to stand there and go, "What is it?" But I briefly looked down at my two friends who were on the other side of the course, because we were split into groups, and they had their lecturer. Like, they were joking around that we were all running around doing all this stuff, like all having mental breakdowns outside the rehearsal room, and they're on the other end going, "We're really chill, like what are they doing in there?" But I remember looking down, and like, it was the most awful but brilliant feeling at the same time, that there was two girls looking at me in absolute disgust, and I was going, "Oh my god, if I ever have a girl look at me like that in real life, like, it's the worst feeling, like them looking like absolutely
And then
disgusted at you."
Was you using like the method acting?
It wasn't method acting. So what I did was I had a playlist. I had a playlist called Stanley, which I think I had a bit of Arctic Monkeys on there, and just songs that made me feel like, A, I could take on the world, and B, like don't mess with me kind of vibes. And I just listened to that like for 20 minutes before we did the scene.
That's a good.
I just did it. I didn't go into the room as Stanley. I very much went in as myself. I just put the music in, listened to it. I imagined the circumstances and got myself into it based on the circle. Like, so it was all from imagination.
Yeah.
And I just went, right, I am Stanley. This is my house. She's coming into my house and telling me what to do. That's not right. This is she's already screwing me over because she's taken, like, just all stuff like that, just going over the play and going into the scene, even though we were doing the one scene, as if I'd done the whole play. Yeah. And I remember my co-star, the other, so I did it with two girls, one was Blanche, one was Stella. The actress playing Blanche, who, you know, we're very good friends, she came up to me before and said, "By the way, I'm not talking to you until we've done the scene," which only helped because then when I really got in her face and was like all intimidating and stuff, it really worked. But that was, as I said, like, that look from those two girls was awful as a person. Like, if that was me as a person, I'd be absolutely disgusted with myself if someone was looking at me like that. But it also was the slight gratification in my head of, I've done it. Yeah. I've convinced everyone that I'm this awful human being. And as an actor, that's when I went, that was my moment at drama school where I went, no, I think I can do this. If I work hard, I think I can do this.
Yeah. That's a technique that Michael Ward done. I saw in the interview, so you know Top Boy. Yeah. He said it in his trailer. He would listen to like drill, heavy one, all that, preparing for scenes. I saw that in. It
is weird though, because weirdly, like, I got my we had like industry classes in the last term with a guy called Yusuf, who's really big in the north. And he basically sort of was giving us our casting types. And one of the things he immediately says was, well, I've got sort of short hair now, from a receding hairline. Thanks, Gramps. But basically, he sort of, my look and the way I am, because I started drama school with sort of longer hair. He sort of immediately went, "Oh yeah, EastEnders, drug dealer, all this sort of like gritty BBC roles." Yeah. And I immediately went, "Oh right, so bad people, basically."
You're just getting typecast right off the
Yeah, and it's weird because they're really interesting to play as actors. I think they really push you because you've got to find the justification for what you're doing, because you don't want it to look pantomime, and obviously, even with something like a Marvel villain, like, you still want the audience to understand to an extent, because I think it's less, in movies now, it's less two-dimensional villains. Yeah. Like, usually when I watch a movie and the villain's very two-dimensional, unless it's a certain genre, I'll just go, I wanted a bit more reasoning behind it. Like, I think one of the best things about Avengers Infinity War is you going, well, Thanos isn't wrong. He's someone who he's trying to solve a problem. He's got the right reasoning. He's just doing it the wrong way. I just think as an actor, I'm really interested by playing.
Like, there's always a meaning behind it.
Yeah,
like it doesn't want it. Like,
you've got to find the reasoning that you are in the right.
Yeah.
And I think as an actor, I think that's very interesting to play.
Speaking into that, we always come up with one word that you think is important within this industry, and just based on what you just said, could you give a word that you feel
Oh, I think there's so many.
There's so many.
I'm worried I'm going to say one that someone else has said. I feel like, I mean, you could probably like perseverance, dedication.
Dedication?
Yeah, because I think, I mean, when we went into drama school, everyone can act. Even people who don't act. Like, acting is no different from lying, to be fair. I mean, I was joking around with someone yesterday. I'm an awful liar. I'm really bad at lying. Like, in real life, if, you know, my mum says, did you eat the last packet of crisps that I was saving? I'd go, no, and then I start laughing. And it'd be so obvious that I was lying. Yeah. But it's like, so I can't do that, but I can completely change my entire persona, accent, physical body start, like my posture and everything, and somehow do that and convince everyone I can do it, and everyone believe me, but I can't lie. I think it's just it's dedication. It's if you can believe you can do it, and you can believe
I don't think no
that
one
you
said
can get there, then I'm sure you can.
Dedication. I don't think no one said it.
You know, I had dedication, guys. But you know, I've got people on my course from like it's such a varied age range. You know, we've got quite a lot of people who have just got out of school, 18, and now they're sort of 19, 20 now because we're about to go into our third year. But I've got a guy from Germany who's 26, who, you know, sort of, and he's the most like probably one of the most dedicated people on the course. Like when he's, you know, obviously we're still trying to enjoy our uni life, so I'm going to be honest, like I'm saying that as someone who knows they're still working on that, because I can do it and know I can dedicate myself to it. But right now I'm in a place where it's quite easy because I'm being given these opportunities because I'm at a course where I've paid for these opportunities to be given to me. But once we're out, I mean, I'm sure you'll know, once you get out there in the industry, you are fighting for everything. Yeah. You are fighting to even be seen through the door. Yeah. You know, like my sister, watching her do it, like I think she said so many of the people from her course have already given up after about a year. But I feel like, you know, there's so many actors who try for 10 years and still don't get their big break till 10 years later. It's all about, you know, when I'm out of drama school, I know my dedication needs to go from, like, at the moment, it's probably at I'd say a 70. When I'm in the room, I'm rehearsing, I've got a character. So I've got to play a character, again, very similar to Stanley, but in a whole show. And that's my big sort of role for my final year. So I know I've got to go through that process again. I think he's much less violent. I think it's and you know, it'd be a lot easier for me because I'm not doing it one scene right at the end of the play. I'm getting to follow the entire arc.
I've got
build yourself up.
I've got like a 2-in-1 question.
Yeah.
So the first one is, what got you into acting?
I mean, as a kid, I watched a lot of films and TV. Like, you know, I mean, we're all excited for the final tonight, but football and sports, it's not my thing. You know, I'm really enjoying it at the minute. Yeah. But I'm also enjoying it because it's something that me and my friend are really enjoying, and I find like more enjoyment with my friends. Country, you know, it's, you know, and yeah, it's my country. My friend's from Tenerife, and he's sort of born here at a very early age, and then you know, but he so he's supporting Spain, I'm supporting England, but you know, so we're gonna have a great time later. But yeah, no, for me it wasn't. I didn't feel like you know, I mean, it's the usual, you know, actor sob story. You know, I was bullied at school. I, you know, didn't fit in. But you know, for me, watching movies and TVs was escaping.
That was for me.
It's so escaping. So like, I'd watch the Marvel movies, and I'd, you know, just for like a minute, just if I was feeling like crap, I could just go, oh, but you know, imagine if I was Spider-Man. But as a kid. And like one of my dream roles, and it still is playing Doctor Who. Like a big reason why I want to be an actor is to play Doctor Who. I know it might never happen.
No, don't say that. No,
it will happen. Dedication, perseverance, guys. But you know, that show is very special to me. You know, and as an actor, like I mean, I get so many people say it to me, and it's one of the best things to hear. Also, the worst things if I ever want to play for the role. But a lot of people say to me, like, you really, when you act, you remind me of Matt Smith. Who was the one after the 11th Doctor?
The one after
David Tennant, which is the Doctor I started watching because I love David Tennant.
I think David Tennant is the best Doctor.
He is. He's got the best era of Doctor Who.
Yeah,
but for me,
he was on a train.
Really, my mate.
But I did like Matt Smith's Doctor though.
I think Matt Smith was the. Like, he still kept it going, but like my first proper sit
He's in Charles the Dragon, isn't
he? Yeah. You know, he literally came in my head when you started doing that.
Yeah, So my first episode watching Doctor Who was Matt Smith's first episode. So I watched that, then I went back and watched David Tennant's era. So I still read, but David Tennant's still very close second favourite. It's David Tennant, Matt Smith for me. But so for me that was my escapism. And then I was like, well, what happens if you could just do that, like for yourself? You just play the role, and then you're escaping anyway because you're playing it. And then for me, it's just imagination. It sounds stupid, like it's no different to playing on a playground at school. You know, oh, I'm Merlin, blah, 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 but you're just doing it professionally. But the idea of being able to do that for myself, because the world's pretty crap. I'm not gonna lie. Like it's even right now, like you look at 10 on the news. Yeah. Like someone tried to shoot Trump last night.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Not that I'm a big Trump fan.
No, but
just saying the world is crazy right now. It's just so crazy. So sometimes it's nice to just pretend you're a Time Lord running through time and space when you're a superhero.
So did you used to watch The Adventures of Sarah Jane Smith as well?
Oh, I watched that before Doctor Who.
You watched that before Doctor Who?
I watched that before Doctor Who, and my dad went, yeah, she was a companion on Doctor Who.
Yeah, literally. Yeah.
But like, yeah, and I mean, to be fair, like I watched Doctor Who, I watched the modern stuff, I watched all the classic stuff as well. Like,
4 O'Clock Club?
Of course.
I didn't watch that one.
You didn't watch that?
Young Dracula though.
Young Dracula.
MI High with the pencils. So you ran around school pretending you were a super spy. But that's the point, and I think as an actor, one of the best things for me is doing that for myself, but knowing that I might be doing that for someone else. Because there's so much like comfort shows. There's so much stuff out there. That's why it really infuriates me when, thank God they're out now. I'm not sure Labour's going to do any better, but the Tories treating the arts like it's not important. Yeah. And you're like, well, COVID, what was everyone doing? They were sat at home watching TV, playing video games, listening to music, like all the creative stuff. So, okay, you want to do that and say the arts disappears, there's no form of human expression. And there's so much and so much of what's come before inspires what's happening now.
They were literally saying on the radio, like this was last year now, but government were quite astonished with the amount of people that are watching stuff. And they're putting like up to 200 million investment into the country.
Yeah, they're saying we can't even afford a house because we're watching too much Netflix. It's not the cost of living crisis. We need to stop watching Netflix, guys. That's the problem. Yeah. But no, for me, I think as an actor, it's about dedication, and I think with this profession as well, so much of it is no. I'm probably saying what everyone else said. I think I'm probably quoting someone else, so I don't want to get copyrighted. But there's someone I read somewhere someone saying that you're going to get more no's than you get yeses. But I remember.
But each no is closer to yes.
Yeah,
something like
because at the end of the day, like I remember them saying, and that's the thing as well, like. So obviously we all get jobs through Spotlight, or I've got to set mine up now going into this year, ready for industry and for agents and stuff. But if you've been given an audition from Spotlight, you're already right for the role because they've looked at you and gone and watched your show reel as well. So they've gone, right, okay, so you already being in the room is enough of a you've got it. Like you're good. You may not be exactly what they're looking for, and I think we did film classes first year, and the lecturer said, sometimes rejection, she worded it really weird, it was really, really quite profound. Sometimes you can go into an audition and imagine it like it's a meal. You're offering them this really good roast dinner. Really good, like it's got everything. Like imagine a perfect roast dinner, like gravy, everything. It's beautiful, like perfect Sunday roast dinner. You put it in front of them and they go, it's really good, but I wanted a burger. Yeah. I wanted something else, because it's all subjective. So you might give this Oscar-winning performance and you think you're perfect for the role. You think, yes, I've got this. This is perfect. This is great. But it wasn't what they were looking for. That doesn't mean what you were doing was bad. Because so many actors give up from constant rejection and being told no because they think they're not good enough. But it's like, no, it's not that your thing wasn't good enough. Maybe it's just because what they were looking for is something else. Yeah. There might be a role where they're looking for a certain persona where anyone they might have wanted someone a bit more held back than someone who goes, but it's still, I think as an actor, if you can justify it, because that's all part of the process. Like one of the best bits of creating a character, that's we were talking earlier about what's your medium, what do you want to do. I said I'd love to do film and TV, but a lot of the rehearsal stuff takes place outside. It's probably the best thing for keeping your impulses up, because so much of what happens on camera is improvised. I'm sure you talk to a film nerd and you watch a film with a film nerd, he'll stop the film and go, oh, did you know that bit was improvised? And, you know, the classic Lord of the Rings, oh, did you know he broke his foot when he kicked that helmet in the Two Towers?
Did Leonardo DiCaprio scene in Django?
Yeah, when he smashes the...
That's actually
yeah, that's a brilliant film. But it's for me, like, you know, and then on stage, but part of the rehearsal room, like sometimes that's where theatre is kind of great, because you do have the time to really sort of play. Like for me, when I truly know I'm inhabiting and know a character is when I can go off script and I can play the character without, you know, drama school, they do all these fancy exercises and stuff, but you do like an object exercise, which we did as ourselves and we did it as characters. So the one as yourself is just recreating 2 minutes of your life as if no one was in the room. First year we did Cherry Orchard, which is a sort of famous play by a Russian playwright called Chekhov. Like, have you heard of Chekhov's gun?
I've heard of Chekhov.
Chekhov's gun is the principle that in any play, if there's a gun on stage, it has to go off by the end.
Oh.
So if there is a gun on stage, it's going to be used. So if you ever walk and watch a piece of theatre and you see a gun, you're going to go, someone's going to shoot someone, or someone's going to, you know. So he's written loads and loads of plays in sort of the 1800s, and we did Cherry Orchard. And I played Gaev, who was this sort of bumbling sort of old uncle dude who was about 50. Like my friend had to play the old butler, and he was like putting weights on his legs and trying to get like the perfect old man walk where it wasn't comedic and it wasn't caricature, it was genuinely like that kind of walk. I had to do the object exercise replicating 2 minutes of this guy's life, completely fictionalized, but it just really helped for you because as an actor, it's so good when you can just embody it and it's there. You don't have to have the script in front of you to play the character, you know. And I had to do 2 minutes of a scene that wasn't in the play because they specifically asked us, can you do something that, you know. So mine was getting ready to go meet my sister who's about to come back from Paris, and it just really helped because it helped with, you know, on stage. So much of what you do as an actor is also off. Like, you're not saying anything, but you've got to look engaged in the world. Like, you know, you could say one line in a scene, but you've got to still react. Like, so much of acting is reacting. And yeah, I remember just, you know, being able to just very easily then after doing that go, well, I can have all this improvised lines coming through my head. And when it feels impulsive and naturalistic, I'm like, oh, I'm not having to force this. I genuinely, you know, have become...
That's when the best acting comes out.
That's when the best acting comes out. Like the best acting. I mean, you know, it's all subjective. I try and stay as humble as possible as an actor. I think it's very easy to get lauded up. Still take the compliments. It's still great. Like, I love it. You know, we get graded at uni, at drama school. And so how do you grade acting? Because someone might have really hated what you did, but you know, someone else might have loved it. And it might have got you an Oscar for all you know. But you know, so much of it's graded. Like the grades, you know. Well, obviously they have to for you to get a degree, but so much of it is subjective. So for me as an actor, it's more important for me that, you know, maybe someone says, oh yeah, I believe you.
Yeah.
You know, there's a really good acting game that, again, Sai, going to throw it back to Sai, introduced to us, which I started doing with someone else who was in my cast for a warm-up before a show. Because I think also, again, sort of living in the moment, staying present, allowing for the thoughts and the words of your script to come to you as you say them, like thoughts, so it doesn't look rehearsed. It's like an action game where you basically go, so if you, like, I intimidate you, you do it, and you do various methods to someone, like, how like, just from saying it, like, I intimidate you, or something like that. You play with space, you play with vocal range, volume,
Me and
tempo.
Harley did that.
Yeah. It's really helpful. But it's just to keep because I hate actioning. I think actioning locks you in a box. But if you play I like the actioning game because I'm not attaching it to any specifically that I will then do during the performance. But it just helped open me up to potentially new impulses and new ways of saying a line that was different from yesterday, so it keeps it fresh. And yeah, we did that before we did a devised piece of theatre at the end of second year with a movement company called Thick Skin, which was a really good experience, really good fun. I'm someone who hates physical theatre, but loved it. And you know when that's not me. I am acting. I'm doing something, but I get so in my head when I'm playing someone that's really similar to me because then I go, I don't feel like I'm acting. I feel like I'm just saying the words. You know, I had that a little bit with Gaia, because Gaia is quite eccentric, and I can be quite eccentric sometimes. But I just then went, right, well, what can I do? Like, I instead of focusing on the personality, I went, well, if the personality's there, maybe I need to try and change up my body and how I sit. So he was about 51 years old, so I went, right, so that was a 50-year-old move. And he really reminded me of my late grandpa. It was really weird. And then I found out later on that he was in the show. He did it when he was at an Amdram group, which was pretty weird. But I don't think he played me, but so much of him, like he had mannerisms where he'd just sort of sit in a chair like this. And I went, this isn't how a young person sits. So if I do that, that helps me get in the character of playing this 50-year-old guy. I mean, you know, I'm never going to have that opportunity in the industry, because why cast a 22-year-old to play a 51-year-old when you can find a 51-year-old actor? But I think drama school is not for everyone. But the one thing I have taken from the experience is being given the opportunities to be pushed to do stuff that I just will never do outside in the industry. I mean, we did a restoration play, and I had to play a woman. You know, very, very unlikely unless I do a show where the play's gender swapped. But usually when it's gender swapped, they turn the male characters male and the female characters, no. Scratch that, reverse it. Female. Male character's female and the female character's male. So say it's Romeo and Juliet, it might be Jules and Romeo instead. Yeah. But no, they went, no, the guys are going to play girls as girls. And the girls going to play the guys as guys. And that was a challenge. But something that I really appreciated, because it went, well, it's still pushing me, because I might find something that's I can take from that and use it later on. And I think, you know, as we were talking about earlier, I think versatility sometimes can be your greatest asset as an actor, because it means you can play everything. You know, yes, you might be able to cast a type, but if you reach a point in your career where you're not getting much and you need to change it up, you can change. You can you know, do. I think Adam Sandler did it with Uncut Gems. Yeah. I haven't seen it, but from what I heard, he's someone who, you know, everyone knows White Chicks and all of his famous movies, known for his comedic roles. And then he turned around and did Uncut Gems. You know, like if you can do that as an actor, I think it really helps.
Yeah, 100%.
The other question was, why do you act?
Yeah, I think, as I said earlier, I think for me it's a form of escapism. For me, it's to switch off for 2 hours and live in a different world. And I think sometimes acting can make you a better human, because I think you can be so ignorant and not empathise much with other people's way of life, and you could be so utterly opposed to something, and then you have to play a role that's the complete opposite of your beliefs, and you go, oh, I think that's why acting is also really important, because I think so much change can come. People can turn away from something on the street and maybe look the other way, or like go, oh, it doesn't affect me, and then, you know, you go see a piece of theatre and it's put right in front of you. I think my friend said they went to see a play all about being homeless, and I think it's, you know, it's really easy to walk past someone homeless on the street and think that doesn't affect me, but then suddenly you're watching a piece of theatre and you're seeing exactly what's happened, and then you empathise with them. And I think theatre is, you know, that's why it's so annoying that theatre sometimes can be so elitist, and same with acting as well. Like acting, I feel like, you know, they're getting better, but it still feels like there's still a long way to go. And I'm saying this as someone who is privileged. You know, I'm a white straight male, and I think it's important that I'm aware of that privilege. And, you know, it's something where, you know, acting, movies wise, I feel like it's getting better. You know, it's a lot more level now, because, you know, anyone go to a casting call, but, you know, theatre's so expensive now. Like I'm someone who is an actor. They say to us, you should be going to see theatre every day, every week. And I don't have the money to be going to see the West End shows all the time. You know, and I guess, you know, yes, sometimes it can be seeing small time theatre, but, you know, actors also, we have lives. Yeah. And I think, you know, it's just, I think for me, why I act is because I know that it's good for me. It helps me escape for a bit. And someone watching what I'm doing might help them escape, especially if it's something like a superhero show, or you know, or something where people do like to escape for a bit, or it could be something where I know it's going to get people talking about an issue or about something that might maybe just help make the world maybe slightly better. Yeah. I do ramble quite a lot. Apologies.
No,
that's good.
It's our thing, and also as well, you said so much like informative stuff. We're gonna make sure every single.
Oh, brilliant! Yeah, it's really, really nice.
Put it in, other than the bits where.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, but that's part of it.
Yeah,
it's part of it. The bits that's cameras gone off, but yeah, it's been really, really, really good. It's nice to get it all out as well.
Yeah,
I feel like I've built it in, and then I'm like, oh, I get it out, and I can be So
a few bits
I'll see where it takes me. But yeah, it's been a real pleasure, guys. Thanks for having me on.
Thanks so much for coming on.
Have you got anything coming up that you'd like to share to the camera?
Well, I'm in my final year at drama school now, so I'm doing public stuff now that people can watch. So if you want to come up to Liverpool, great city, have a lot of fun, a lot of stuff to see. But also, if you want to see a bit of great theatre, I'm doing The Tenant of Wildfell Hall in November, and then I'll also be doing a show called Harvest in February. Yeah, no, that's sort of the main stuff that's coming up, and then I've got a few. Did a couple of films this year as well. I want to do some again. I did a short film where I played a serial killer. That was fun. That's I've got it. I've shown it, but it's just still being edited in the final take. So when that's dropped, that'll be on. I've got an Instagram on my acting name, which is James Elliston, and that'll be dropping soon. And also a feature film I did, which is all about dark magic, which I did with a few good friends as well, back up in Liverpool, with really good, like, you wouldn't know it's a student film, like really, really good at their craft. Like, yeah, I'm pretty happy with it. Like, I'm showing up material already there, to be honest. Got to do one scene when I first get back up there.
Oh, thank you, man.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Check these guys out as well. We've got some really great other interviews on there as well. Really good. Really good.
Thanks so much. Appreciate it, man. Thank you guys for coming to the Camera Pod episode.
Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe.
Like, comment, and subscribe. We'll see you in the next Camera Pod ep. Peace.